because we had Preki in here last year, and he did a pretty good job in the first 5-6 months. But the Preki style just doesn't last. It really comes in and it burns up in a blaze of glory, and it's really ugly soccer to begin with.
And he's a little bit hard.
Fine when you,
I was going to say
ugly soccer is fine.
Yeah, I was going to say he as far as the players came off as well, it seemed like maybe it was a little too hardcore as well for a lot of them.
That's for sure. I think he was, like I said, ugly soccer is fine when you're winning, but when you start losing, everybody gets pissed off, and I think that was the problem. He was trying to instill this disciplinarian style that works only when you're winning, and the problem is he has a lot of these plumber types that he brings in that aren't very skilled, but they'll run all day, and it just wasn't working out. And I think what Winter and de Klerk and Mariner are bringing in is a more modern style. It's the style you'll see at the bigger leagues. Obviously, it's going to be on a scale-back system in MLS under the salary cap. But I think they deserve a real shot at overhauling this team. I think a lot of the nervousness that supporters in Toronto are feeling is because we haven't really seen anything in the past years that everyone's getting anxious. Is the fan support going to drop off? Mm-hmm. But no one knows for sure. So.
Yeah.
Doesn't Toronto still have a huge, massive wait list as far as season ticket holders go?
I believe they did, but I think a lot of them. I think they burned through a lot of that this past season. Mm-hmm. A lot of people got rid of the tickets, so they brought in a lot of new season ticket holders. I obviously I don't know the numbers for sure, but that's the impression I've been getting. So I don't think they want to test that waiting list again.
Yeah. Can I ask you this? I mean, we had MLS's Jonah Friedman on the show, and this is right after the finals, the MLS finals, and maybe this is not the most appropriate question to ask at this point, but because Jonah gave us his point of view and the MLS's whether or not Toronto fans were really protesting the MLS finals because they were required to buy finals tickets. Can you give us any background on that and your perspective?
Oh, yeah. Well, I don't think anyone was actually protesting. A lot of people use the word protest very easily, not only within the supporters culture in Toronto, but also when talking about supporters culture in Toronto. I think because there's a lot of online chatter with Toronto fans, I mean, there's so many different supporters forums, that something can perpetuate into, accepted history very, very quickly. What we saw at MLS Cup Final, I don't think we saw any actual kind of protest. A lot of people were mad. A lot of people were angry at the circumstances of, it was thrust upon, and no one really had a choice. I think given the choice, most people would have gone anyway. But I think it was the principle of the fact that they weren't given the choice. But at the end of the day, the people showed up, and most people who were there enjoyed themselves. I know I did. We hosted the Colorado supporters at our bar, and we had a hell of a party with those guys. So, it's something that I do again, for sure. I had no problems with it. It's the championship of the league that we support, so why not?
Yeah.
So I think a lot of it had to do with other anger towards the front office rather than the actual issue itself. So.
Right. Well, as we head into this coming season, do you have what are sort of your reasonable expectations for the team? I mean, are you guys going to make the playoffs this year? What are you looking at?
Well, I think it's entirely reasonable to want or expect the team to make the playoffs this year, especially in the expanded format.
Right.
10 teams make the playoffs out of 18. I don't think TFC is going to get out of the gate very well. I think it's going to be a little bit of a work in progress for the first half of the season. But I believe I've seen a lot over the off season that's given me reason to have faith in the system that they're trying to implement. Just the fact that Dwayne De Rosario himself says he's the happiest he's ever been with TFC, and he wasn't just saying that to TFC TV. He was saying that to neutral reporters that were asking him that question. And if they can make him happy, then I believe the rest of the team would be happy with the style that they're trying to create.
Right.
I think it's going to take a while to implement it, but I believe it's an entirely realistic goal. I think the TFC supporters obviously deserve to at least see some kind of postseason action this year. I don't see why TFC shouldn't be able to make it to the playoffs this year.
With the current playoff setup, it's not necessarily how well you start off, but really how well you finish.
Exactly, and that's the thing. That's why I think the way the season's going, or the way the season will go, is that we'll have a bit of a rough patch in the beginning, the first half, but I think they'll turn it around in the summertime, which is pretty much the opposite of the way TFC's played over the past 4 years. They've always had a good out of the gate and then trailed off in the summer months. But I think if they can do that, if they can start peaking towards the end of the year, they can pull obviously I'm not going to say they're going to pull off an MLS Cup run like Colorado or Real Salt Lake, but they can reasonably expect to get into the playoffs, and then from there, like you said, anything's possible.
Yeah. The other question, and this is about manager Aaron Winter. I mean, we've had some managers in New York and other places that have come from Europe, not really knowing the MLS system that well, but they've ended up doing a pretty damn good job. And then, of course, we've had other instances in LA and otherwise where that didn't work out. So how important is Mariner as far as Aaron Winter's success this season? How important is that guy?
Well, I think he's hugely important. I mean, this is a guy who's, he hasn't won the cup with New England, but he's gotten as far as he can get without winning the cup. And he's seen, under Steve Nicol, how it's done, and he's intimately knowledgeable about this league. So I think he's there. He's the kind of check and balance that Winter and DeClercq need in implementing this international style of play that they want to do, but at the same time keeping it realistic on an MLS level. Yeah. So I think, Mariner is hugely important, and I also believe that the rest of the staff is hugely important in that too. Jason Bent, who just got promoted from the academy, he's been with TFC since, I believe, the beginning. He also played with Colorado Rapids for a couple of years, so he knows MLS, and he's the second assistant behind DeClercq. So I think he's going to have a huge role to play as well. So I definitely think that the MLS established guys are definitely around to keep the expectations realistic, and to also to provide an experienced voice to the two Dutch guys who obviously know the tactical side, but wouldn't know the North American side so much.
Right, and you got to wonder what kind of bad blood's going on there that Paul Mariner wouldn't been re-signed or recalled back to New England. But that's a whole other story. The other
you'd have to ask New England guys, yeah.
But we're running out of time, but I wanted to ask this, as far as TIFO goes and anything that the fan groups have planned, anything special as we head to this new season?
There's a few things being planned. Obviously, we don't announce what they are.
Yes.
The three main groups always kind of start the season off with a bang. We're hoping to actually sustain that more over the season. We I think admittedly got a little bit lazier. Some of the groups over other groups got a little bit lazier as the season went on. A little bit of annoyance at the way the season's going. But we take pride in our displays and being amongst the leaders in the MLS on that side of the coin. So definitely, I think there's a couple of decent ideas out there that are floating around. So look out for those.
Yeah, I mean, you guys have really, amongst a few other teams, have really been the jewels as far as that kind of support, that kind of out there support. So it's just always a thrill to tune into a Toronto game, whether you're supporting them or not, just because of the atmosphere. But Rudi, I want to thank you for coming on. We are unfortunately out of time, but hopefully you will grace us with your presence around mid-season, so we can talk more about how things have gone and developed and shaped, and how the season's going for Toronto FC. We'd love to have you back.
I'd love to be back, and hopefully that'll be a good conversation. I'll be in a good mood, hopefully.
So this was your bad mood?
Well, no, this is my apprehensive kind of, I'm not sure what to make of it mood. By mid-season, I should be able to know which mood I'll be in for the rest of the season. So.
Well, that'll work for us. Again, thanks for coming on, and we'll definitely be in touch.
Okay, thanks.
All right, thanks, Rudi. Take care.